Hi, my name is Linda Kellum, and I'm the Data Services Librarian at UNCG. In this short video, I'm going to give you an overview of my services and provide information about one of our resources called ICPSR. If you have any questions after watching this video, please feel free to contact me at lmkellum@uncg.edu. Thanks. To get started, I provide several services to the UNCG community. First, I help students and faculty find data sources for secondary data analysis. Many studies exist that could be useful as pilot projects or even provide data for your dissertations. Before collecting your own data, a very expensive and time-consuming process, it might be a good idea to see if someone else has already collected data that you could use in a new way. Next, I provide support for data management best practices. I'll talk more about this later, but basically I promote best practices of data collection in our research community. Third, I provide instruction on using freely available government resources and our subscription databases for numeric data. And finally, I conduct one-on-one consultations with students and faculty on their research projects. For DE students, I am available on Skype or WebEx. Leah will talk with you more about the research process and using our library resources. I want to add a few tips to the ones she will give you. First, as you are searching for literature in our databases, be sure to look at the types of studies researchers are using. The literature in your field is a wonderful place to start thinking about possible data sources that you can track down and use to analyze. With the federal government's grant requirements for data management, more researchers are publishing their data and data documentation. If you find a study that you think will be useful, but aren't sure how to find the actual data files, come talk with me and I can help you. In addition, keep in mind that not all data will be available. Some data studies may have restrictions on use. Data collection is a slow process. Don't be surprised if you are unable to find data from the current year or even the past few years. You may find useful data from 5 or 6 years ago that are fully available for you to use. This is often still valuable data, especially for pilot projects or dissertations. Second, don't just stick to library databases. Be sure to get to know any government agencies and the data products they create. Often these are fabulous sources for data sets. Finally, a great resource on our campus is the Inter-University Consortium for Political and Social Research, or ICPSR. ICPSR is a data archive funded by a consortium of which UNCG is a member. Through our membership, we get access to a wealth of data studies, data analysis training, and much more. While ICPSR initially began as an archive for social data, they have expanded in the past 15 years to include health data sets, many of which would be useful for students in kinesiology depending on your interests. This is ICPSR's homepage. As you can see, the primary function is to help users who are searching for data, but I encourage you to explore the website as there is much more here. I will walk you through a sample study of ICPSR to give you an idea of what you will see. This is the Health Tracking Household Survey from 2007. You will always see the summary first, which will give you some contextual information about the study. I strongly encourage you to read these abstracts before proceeding. Second, you will see the access notes, which give information on whether or not data can be downloaded or if there are restrictions. Restricted use data are not available for immediate download and must be acquired through an online application process. Often this process is lengthy and requires the applicant to hold a PhD. Often this is not the best approach for graduate students because of the time involved and expense. Luckily, many sources have public use data in addition to the restricted use data. Be sure to read these notes carefully. Third, if there are public use datasets available, you will see download information. ICPSR tries to make this process as hassle-free as possible, but you will want to read the documentation before beginning to use the data. In a download, you will access in most cases, the questionnaire, the code book with information about variables, and finally, the dataset itself. ICPSR tries to make the dataset available in multiple statistical software formats, usually at least SPSS and SAS. They are also converting the more popular datasets into R and Stata. In addition, many of these datasets can be analyzed online using the SDA software. This allows a user to do simple crosstabs and other statistical analyses without downloading data files. This is a great way to familiarize yourself with a dataset before downloading the entire study. If you have questions about doing this, please contact me. If the study includes restricted data, you will see the information about those files next. Typically, you will only be able to access the documentation and not the data files. Accessing the documentation allows a researcher to understand what is in the restricted files before requesting access. Next, you will see the study description, which will give information about how to cite the dataset. ICPSR user agreements require formal citation for its studies as a condition of use. The final two sections are scope of study and methodology. These sections provide information on the time periods covered, the universe, the data collection methods, and more. In addition to contextual information, many studies will provide access to variable-level searching. This helps the researcher have a better understanding of the content of a data file and if the study meets the research need. I encourage you to first read the documentation, but this page will help you pinpoint whether the study will work for your specific project. In addition to individual studies, ICPSR has created several thematic collections on specific topics, such as student-athletes, addiction, early education, and many other topics. The newest, Advancing Research on Disability, might be of interest to kinesiology students. To access most data downloads, you must create a My Data account on campus or through the library's database list. Doing so will authenticate your credentials as a UNCG student and give you access to the full archive. You will need to log in to the database once every 6 months to keep your authentication. In addition to thousands of data downloads and studies, ICPSR has created a searchable database of data-related literature under the Find Publications tab. You can search keyword, study, author, or journal. This is a great way to discover how a specific study has been used by researchers. Another discovery tool is the Variables database, which is under the Search and Compare Variables tab. This allows you to search for specific variables and compare those variables across studies. In this example, I compared the variable for marital status in 2 different studies. The next discovery tool was already mentioned, but I wanted to show it in action. For many of the studies, you can analyze data online using SDA software available on ICPSR's website. This system will allow you to explore the data before you download. It's also a great teaching tool if you would like for your students to learn statistical concepts but not get bogged down in using a specific statistical software. Finally, ICPSR is well known for its educational support and training. While quite a bit of training is on the Archive's website through online tutorials, ICPSR also has a summer program in quantitative methods. Most of the workshops and courses are taught in Ann Arbor, but some are available on the UNC Chapel Hill campus at the Odom Institute. If you are interested, please contact me for more information. I encourage you to explore the ICPSR website and email user support or me if you have questions. Again, ICPSR is only one of our data resources at UNCG. We have many more, but it is the one to get to know. I also have more data sources available on my library research guide, and that's the last link on this page. Before you go, I would like to mention my support for research data management. I encourage you to consider the best practices for data management as you begin to collect your own data for research. By effectively managing your data, you will be better positioned to use the data in the future and potentially share data with other researchers. Often the first step in this process is a written data management plan that articulates the process of securing your data and preserving it for the future. For more information, I encourage you to look at my research guide or contact me directly. I hope this tour of data services has been helpful, and I wish you the best in your studies here at UNCG. Please feel free to contact me if you have questions.